Let's talk about the skin of the daylits. Daylits have 4 skin layers, with 2 serving the main functions of skin, and the other 2 helping with reproduction. The top layer protects the daylit and its spores and sacs. It is thin in some areas, which are differently colored so that their bug friends can absorb their genetics for later distribution amongst their surrogate children. The thin skin spots are small and have no pain receptors. Underneath them is a chamber that stores spare blood and injects old genetic material into the thick liquid. If we look lower, we will see that the veins are blocked off to prevent extra blood from flowing into the chamber. This blockage is common in daylit veins, but the blockages are larger for these chambers. We will also see that the vein goes through the 3rd layer, providing genetic material to the daylit spores. If we look closer to the 1st layer, we will notice that it has 2 types of holes of comparable size to sweat glands. One only goes to the 2nd layer, while the other goes through to the 3rd layer, which is primarily made of large veins. The deeper hole allows spores to leave their parent and land on another daylit, which will become their surrogate parent. The spores become slightly larger when exposed to air, preventing them from going down the spore glands on their surrogate parent. The slightly larger hole is meant for spores to go through after they've left their parent. These spores attach themselves to the surrogate parent and slowly grow over time into sacs, which will soften enough for the offspring to eat out of once their surrogate dies. We will discuss the life cycle of daylits at a later date. The 2nd layer contains mostly fat, and is a food source and protective layer for sacs. For now, the sacs do not contain the surrogate's genetics. They will gain some after they are born, when the bugs transfer from the dead surrogate to the newly hatched younglings. The 3rd layer creates and distributes spores, with a vein system that is much larger than the rest, allowing the spores to easily travel throughout the layer, despite their inability to go through smaller veins. When the parent gets excited, a rush of chemicals floods through the veins. This rush pushes the spores through the glands and onto nearby daylits, which often looks like a powdery cloud that can stick to fur and skin thanks to the amount of spores that are expelled. Finally, the 4th layer hosts the majority of veins, which are surrounded by barriers, which are surrounded by fat. This layer is remarkably hard to get through, and the process is always quite messy. Trying to get to this layer will result in you being covered in spores, blood, and bugs. I hope you enjoyed this video and have learned something about the daylits. I will be researching their cousins, the Cicutracargitodelius, more commonly known as small crawlers, and I hope to teach you about their unique as. Goodbye for now.